morning to you, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. This is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board. The date is the 3rd of November 2021, and as usual, we're coming to you from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. So I'll take us quickly through the headlines on the leading newspapers here in Kenya, and then I'll bring in my panelists, and we will have a conversation based on some of the headlines we have today. The Daily Nation, the main headline, Ruto and the price of quitting Jubilee. That is the main headline up there. Uhuru Kipchoge calls for efforts to save Earth. The story is on page 10 and 11. And how illicit cash from South Sudan is invested in Kenya. The story is on page 8 of the Daily Nation. I really want to know how that is. I'll probably look at it later in our afternoon bulletin. And Ethiopia declares a state of emergency as rebels advance. In recent days, TPLF has claimed control of two key cities about 400 kilometers from Addis Ababa and has not ruled out marching on the capital. The story is on page 25. And when you watch this story, and the calls that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is making to even the public to take up arms and defend the country, you can tell he's a man under duress. So what is happening there in Ethiopia is something that should worry all of us, especially from the Horn of Africa. Ministry announces midterm breaks in 2 weeks. The story is on page 7 of the Daily Nation. And then we just shift our focus to the Standard newspaper. And the main headline on the Standard newspaper is this: Raila's running mate, former Gatanga Member of Parliament, among favourites for Mount Kenya to land the number 2 slot following a series of meetings between the ODM leader and the President Kenyatta's allies in Dubai. The story is on page 6 also. Other options he has down there is Martha Karua, Peter Munya, and Justin Muturi, which I think will be a very interesting combination. And COP26 vow, game changer or more broken promises. The story is on page 32, and I think we had part of this conversation at yesterday's afternoon show. And senators want Kenyans barred from Saudi jobs. If the Senate committee report is adopted, thousands who travel to Middle East for employment will be blocked until their safety is guaranteed. The story is on page 20 of the Standard newspaper. And then ministry offers midterm break to arrest unrest. The story is on page 14 and 15 of the Standard newspaper. So these children finally are going to have their way. Okay, now the Star newspaper, the main headline: Will Kivuda every month's touch win over Hearts? And the story is on page 4-5 of the Star newspaper. And the pictorial there is quite interesting. The Makueni governor carrying a baby on his back. It's quite something here. I hope that was not a political gimmick, but he's known to be one of the few leaders we have in the country who interacts freely with his constituents, and you hear stories from that place. So, all right. And then up there, CRA in push for capable counties to fund budgets. The story is on page 7. And then a British soldier fired for lifting Kenyan's woman's skirt in mall. UK papers. The story is on page 2. And Mombasa police boss defense officers accused of killing Willie. The story is on page 9. So that is what we have on the front page of the leading newspapers this morning. I'm joined by Sharon Gitonga, a journalist from Nairobi. Sharon, a very good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and a very good morning to you and to my co-panelists, Samuel Tawish and Jevan Karanja, and to all our viewers watching us, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening in Africa and across the globe. It is a pleasure to be part of this show. Good morning.
All right, nice to have you. And then we do also have Samuel Tawish, also a journalist from Nairobi. Tawish, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning to my colleague, panelists, and all our viewers who are watching this program.
Okay, and we're also joined by another journalist, Jevan Karanja, and our in-house analyst, Jevan Karanja. It's been a while. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Has been a while, but I'm doing fine. Good morning to our viewers and my fellow panelists, Wish and Sharon, always a pleasure showing up on Punchline Television. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Nice to have you. So quickly, I think we'll start with the headline of the Standard newspaper before we go to this revenue sharing debate on page 7 of the Standard newspaper. And now is this Raila's running mate, a former Gatanga Member of Parliament, among favourites from Mount Kenya to land the number 2 slot among a series of meetings between the ODM leader and the President Kenyatta's allies in Dubai. And I see there the faces also of Martha Karua, Peter Munya, and Justin Muturi. The story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. So let's just find out what's really going on. And allies of Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta are crafting a political deal that could see Peter Kenneth picked as the former's running mate for 2022 State House race. Kenneth, a former Gatanga Member of Parliament, could be selected from a pool of 5 politicians from Mount Kenya region. Now, the team has held a series of meetings in Dubai that could culminate in Raila's running mate being unveiled later in the year. In the meetings, attended by Uhuru's allies and National Assembly Minority Whip Junet Mohammed, they resolved to have Mount Kenya at the core of ODM leaders' campaigns, with an individual from the region picked to be his running mate. The Standard has established that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who was Raila's running mate in 2013 and 2017, will be replaced by Mount Kenya politician as the ODM leader seeks to win the region's support. No wonder OKA is still very undecided, divided, and I think confused as to whether they want to join and work with Raila again, because as if we were to go with the story and what we've been seeing lately, it will be difficult for Raila to pick a running mate from that team once again. But Peter Kenneth being the number 2 of Raila Odinga, how do you see this working out, Sharon Gitonga?
Thank you very much, Miriam. And you can bet that, we are actually in a situation where the political stakes are extremely high. And, they say when the stakes are high, every move counts. So I am seeing this as quite a dicey situation for Peter Kenneth, given that we have outspoken people like the likes of Moses Kuria and Martha Karua. Although I've seen Moses Kuria has actually endorsed Martha Karua for the vice presidential bid. Coming to Peter Kenneth, when we talk about the issue of integrity and probably a track development record, he could actually win a brownie point. I think at some point he was actually voted as the second best performer. So that's being a brownie point, but you realize the issue of the deputy president lies in the docket of the presidential candidate, and in this case it's actually the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. And I'm sure in anything, he's actually going to look into for someone who is actually a people's person. That is someone who has actually, the interest of people at heart, a leader of posterity, of course, a leader who is a team player and a like-minded person, and of course, not an insubordinate, because looking at Raila, this is a man who has actually the interest of people at heart. And again, for Peter Kenneth being this actually being in the central path, it will actually might also go a long way. But the biggest question is he really able to rally Mount Kenya, given that Mount Kenya is well known to be an influential region and influential with quite a huge numerical strength when it comes to voting. So is he really able, talking about, finances aside, but is he really able to rally the issue of, is he really able to rally Mount Kenya? I'm sure when you talk to people in the central province, will actually give you different opinion about how, Peter Kenneth is, especially people from Gatanga, where he was, used to be an MP. So this is quite a dicey situation, and I can actually say it's going to be a blow for Mount Kenya if actually any of the 4 is picked. But then I am left to wonder why is
to be a blow for Mount Kenya. You don't think they'll have the people's support? Will they be a liability to Raila's presidency? Should he pick one of these 4?
I'm actually
Especially
wondering why is there so much pressure for for Raila to pick a leader, rather a vice president coming from Mount Kenya. I know we might tend to talk about how it's actually a rich voting basket and it has actually the influence, but why is there so much pressure for him to actually pick a vice president from Mount
because of Mount Kenya's numerical strength. But I'll come to you, Sharon, in a bit. And you brought up the issue of Peter Kenneth might, score some brownie points considering what he was able to do when he was the MP for Gatanga. But when it comes to the politics of Kenya, especially the regions that are considered strongholds. We saw when Raphael Tuju, the Member of Parliament for Ariada, he did a lot in terms of development in that region. But the fact that he was not singing and dancing to the tune of the time, people didn't care whether you brought us clinics, whether you made us have good roads. We do not care. We need for you to be singing this tune. So when it comes to strongholds, usually it's a bit tricky. So perhaps the brownie points do not count in that regard. But a region that is still very undecided of Raila's presidency, Samuel Tawish, why would it be a good idea to settle for Peter Kenneth?
Thank you, Miriam Ogitu, and thank you, of course, to colleague panelist, also Sharon Gitonga, for your submission. Indeed, Miriam, I will say in a pool of all the four individuals or so that you have mentioned, Peter Kenneth comes out as one of the best politicians or leader really to deputize. In fact, if I was even to choose, I will even suggest that Peter Kenneth should be the flag bearer in whichever formation that Raila Odinga or Jubilee and ODM is trying to form. Why do I say so, Miriam? Because Peter Kenneth is a seasoned politician, we all know. He's a former member of parliament for Gatanga constituency. He's a person who has served in the cabinet as assistant minister in the docket of finance and planning. And also is a person who has tried his debut in presidential contest in 2013. And also tried, of course, to vie for gubernatorial seat in Nairobi County in 2017. So what am I trying to say in essence? Peter Kenneth is a person with a wealth of experience, a seasoned politician, a person with the right credentials really to be able to fit in the bill of a person to contest for such a coveted position. And also is a person who does not have his name tainted, say, on matters corruption, integrity, or lack of competence, even at a time when he served as member of parliament for Gatanga, even as assistant minister. In any case, Miriam, you remember, during his time as a member of parliament for Gatanga constituency in Murang'a County, Peter Kenneth's constituency was rated as one of the best in terms of management of CDF funds. And I think the people of Gatanga were to elect Peter Kenneth if he was to present himself once again, say in 2013 or even in 2017, only that he decided to cast his net a bit wider. That is why he could not really make it, looking onto the stakes when it comes to the presidential contest. Also, Miriam, there's the question of the presidential contest or election of politics is a game of numbers, and therefore it will be illogical of Raila Odinga, maybe say to conclude, for any other person outside the Mount Kenya region really to back his presidential bid, because it's not just about presenting yourself on the ballot, it's also the possibility of winning and looking onto the possible number of voters that really are going to back that particular candidate or to back the candidature of Raila Odinga alongside Peter Kenneth. I think this is very important. The arithmetic and the thinking, the reasoning behind settling on, Peter Kenneth, not necessarily because he comes, not necessarily of him, but a candidate or a person who comes from central Kenya, is because of the numbers that come from that region. And there's so much interest, there's so much at stake. You've been hearing the people from Mount Kenya saying they have about 8 million votes. I don't know how authentic that is. And the only less thing they can settle for will be a deputy president or a running mate for a serious presidential contender. And that in itself tells you, if at all, you cannot have any of these people really being on the ballot as, a running mate to presidential contestants, the leading presidential contestants. These people can as well decide to have one of their own actually be on the ballot as a presidential candidate. And I can tell you this for sure, Miriam, if the Mount Kenya people today were to pull that surprise, you'll be shocked to see how they can actually change the terrain and the trajectory of our current politics in the country. Assuming the people of Mount Kenya decide and say, we have William Ruto, who is now, of course, just thumping and saying he's the kingpin of central Kenya. You have Raila Odinga, who is trying to make inroads alongside other politicians, the Oka Alliance. How about if one of the serious people from Mount Kenya decides that given there are so much stakes, given that we cannot quite decide on whom we are going to vote for, let's decide to have one of our own on the ballot as a presidential candidate and maybe look for someone else to be a running mate from somewhere else. I think, Miriam, that will throw the country into, especially the political leaders, into some set of disarray. But I can tell you for sure that Peter Kenneth comes with a constituency of voters. He's a leader with charisma. He's a leader who is electable. He's a leader whose integrity and character is not tainted. And I therefore do not doubt that he can bring about big votes from Mount Kenya and the entire country. And to that extent, also work together seamlessly with Raila Amolo Odinga, because we have never known him to be a very charged or contesting politician compared to others, like maybe Martha Karua. Okay. I submit.
Very well. Okay, thank you so much, Sam Walter-Wish, for that. Now, in Mount Kenya region, Kenneth has emerged as a front-runner for the number 2 position, accompanies the former president in tours across the country. Kenneth stuck with Raila even when some people in Raila's camp were beginning to have second thoughts about his viability. Last month, the leaders held rallies in Laikipia, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Murang'a and Kiambu counties. The former Gatanga Member of Parliament has been with Raila in most of the events in Mount Kenya where he has been given the opportunity to address the meeting. So he's been loyal since day one. That's what the story is trying to tell us here. But Jevan Karanja, Peter Kenneth being the second, the running mate of Raila Odinga, what kind of influence is he bringing in? Tawish has said that he does have some level of support from where he comes from, but the last we checked, he ran and he was not elected. So how can we confirm that?
Thank you very much, Miriam. And that's a very interesting topic that we are discussing this morning, because in Kenyan's politics, we cannot discuss a lot without mentioning Mount Kenya impact as we head to 2022 general election. But one thing, Miriam, Peter Kenneth is a good man, is a good person. But Miriam, we should not discuss politics as if it's only Raila Amolo Odinga who is running for this position. We should also understand William Ruto is also aiming to get a running mate from Mount Kenya region. Therefore, if we happen to have William Ruto and Raila Odinga getting their candidates from Mount Kenya region, that means to some extent already William Ruto has made so much impact in region and he might get some votes. Therefore, I don't see Peter Kenneth as the best candidate, because at the end of the day, William Ruto might happen to get his running mate from Mount Kenya West. Therefore, I would prefer if those people who advise Raila Odinga to look for a person outside the central Mount Kenya, maybe go for Peter Munya in Mount Kenya East, because for me, those guys, they feel marginalized. And if they see their man, Peter Kenneth, as a deputy to Raila Amolo Odinga, we can galvanize that block, and it's almost 2 million. Then another thing that Raila might make a very grave mistake is to think that his original voters of 2017 will just vote to him, will just support him because he has a running mate from Mount Kenya region. That's a fallacy that will not work in this current dispensation. Why? He need Kalonzo Musyoka as he needed him in 2017. He needed the impact of Musalia Mudavadi and all these other politicians in the outfit, because at the end of the day, if he happen to lose his original voting block and he gains in Mount Kenya region, then he is not making any impact. Therefore, it would be wise if he concentrated more on galvanizing his original voting block, that is Nyanza, the coast region, and so on, and the Nyanza region and Western Kenya. Then think of how he'll get some votes, because in Mount Kenya region, Raila Amolo Odinga is not aiming to get everything. And as TSP leader Mwangi Kujori said, 30% is more than enough for Raila Amolo Odinga from Mount Kenya region. Therefore, to some extent, Miriam, it is not even necessary to have a running mate from Mount Kenya region, because at the end of the day, if these people are really supporting Raila Amolo Odinga for who he is, they can settle for anything, and that is why, to some extent, I agree with Moses Kuria. We don't necessarily need to be given the position of the deputy president, but we can have a half of government where we'll control some influential ministries. Therefore, at the end of the day, Miriam, this will be a very tough race, not only for Raila Amolo Odinga, but as well for William Ruto, because of this question of running mate, because it is giving all of them some headache. But for me, who
Okay.
Plus, I see Raila Amolo Odinga as a formidable candidate. He can get a candidate from Mount Kenya region, but as well maintain his original voting bloc. Because if he loses in other ends and gains in Mount Kenya region, then Miriam, if it's about that, he can make sure that they come up with a way of ensuring that if Raila Amolo Odinga will get a running mate from Mount Kenya region, then they should be sure that almost 90% or 80% of Mount Kenya voters will vote for that candidate. That is why I'm settling for Peter Kenneth or Peter Munya.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and you brought up the issue of half of the government. I think the last time we were having that conversation here, Jeevan, I think what we said was that was very selfish. Is that not what we said?
Miriam, if you allow me, if you permit me just a minute so that I can have a rejoinder on what my good brother, Javan Karanja, has just said. One, I agree with him to the extent that it doesn't have necessarily to be that Mount Kenya must have any of its representatives being a presidential candidate or a running mate for that matter. Secondly, Miriam is making reference to Moses Kuria, a person I saw even yesterday addressing the media and saying they would have chosen really to have one of their own as a presidential candidate, and even actually giving the name of Martha Karua to be, of course, a running mate, as a possible running mate to any of the serious presidential candidates. So that is a position that I think when Moses Kuria speaks, there's that Mount Kenya, is it a leaders caucus, something of the sort that brings on board Kiunjuri, of course, Moses Kuria, Martha Karua, and others. I hope that Moses Kuria is speaking from a point of authority and is making reference to some of the meetings that they have been having in as far as that caucus is concerned. Very lastly, Miriam, my good brother Jeven has spoken about why Raila Odinga should maintain the old or the former friends. That is Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and others. I mean, Miriam, you can only work with someone as long as they agree to work with you. Raila Odinga has made so much, of course, appeal to want to work with these individuals. You've seen, of course, news going about in the social media, and sometimes even these leaders coming out in the public themselves, really to disown any, of course, any possibility of them working with Raila Odinga once more. So it is not Raila Odinga really who is pushing off or pushing away the One Kenya Alliance leaders, but it's them who feel like maybe it is time they also have to go up to the ballot this time around. I hope that Raila Odinga has tried his level best, and I hope he continues to do his level best to try and reach out to his traditional bastions to work together, even as he reaches to other, of course, new allies.
Okay.
But it will not be fair, really, for us to say it's Raila Odinga who is pushing away the former NASA allies.
Okay.
I submit.
Thank you so much. And we've also been joined by Professor Jared Onyari. Prof, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam, and my fellow panelists, together with our viewers.
So now, Raila,
whenever they are watching us from.
Yes, Prof, nice to have you this morning. Good morning to you. So now, Raila apparently is in the process of picking his running mate, and according to this story, he will settle for a running mate from Mount Kenya region. And the people that are being floated for this position that stand a better chance, number one is Peter Kenneth, and then I see Martha Karua, Peter Munya, Justin Muturi. Who would be the best pick for that position, should Raila really settle for a number two for Mount Kenya?
That's a tricky one, Miriam. There's no doubt that the vote from Mount Kenya region is for the interest of any other presidential candidate. And for sure, I can tell you, all the presidential candidates, they will have their running mates from Mount Kenya. You know why? For the first time from 1992, they are going not to have a very serious and formidable candidate. I'm not ruling out that the other peace bodies will stand as for presidency, but you know, and what's happening in Mount Kenya, Miriam, is by this. It is not by. It is very strategic, Miriam. It could have not been that we have the first president coming from Mount Kenya, the third coming from Mount Kenya, the fourth coming from Kenya, the fifth coming from Kenya. I think when they have also sat down and they have come out with a strategy, and they have that strategy, Miriam. And you'd not be shocked that the sixth president will be from Mount Kenya. Watch this space. So from where I sit, Miriam, I saw the people of Murang'a. You know, you also need to understand the politics of the mountain. We have had two presidents from Kiambu. We have had another one from Nyeri. We have never had a president from Murang'a. And you know the kind of the role they played for the reparation of these countries, even during Mau and even the second reparation. And you had the other day, you saw some people sitting down and saying, and they were advancing the argument. And instead for others naming themselves, they said Peter Kennedy is here. Peter Kennedy, you know what? 2013, he stood for the presidency. That was not just for a joke. He was introducing himself that he is a credible presidential candidate, and he did this campaign well. He debated very well. On 2013, he strategically said he supported Uhuru Kenyatta, merely for the deputy president to mess him up, because he rigged him up and he gave that ticket to. So I can tell you from where I sit, Peter Kennedy will be the running mate. Will be the running mate for Baba, if he is speaking to someone from the mountain. And you have talked about Peter Munya. Yes, fine. They come from the mountain, but look at their forts. Muturi, he comes from Bere, and Bere, they are basically the population of Nyamira. So and you know politics and democracy.
Prof. and Martha Karua.
Well, Martha Karua very well. Martha Karua very well. She has performed very well. But the moment she had signed away from the government and stood against she resigned from the government against Kibaki, that was disrespect. And again, she has been, whenever you see her, she's Peter with the president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Miriam, we are also human beings. We don't just go to give our support. Where is this? So, Martha Karua, she's the governor for Kirinyaga. On that equation, they are trying to elevate her, but I can tell you for that, Miriam, you step on my toes today, and if you don't say sorry, don't think I'm also human, I cannot assume. Right. You have been seeing him, he has been fighting Uhuru Kenyatta right away from 2008. She thought she will be the deputy prime minister. And that's where the name came from. And you can see all through how, check her body language. She has got no total respect for the president at all. So I've given you the candidate. The candidate is Peter Kennedy.
All right. Okay. So that will be three.
And in fact, Miriam, in addition to that as well, don't forget that what Professor Jared Onyari said to the effect that, Murang'a being, of course, the bedrock of Mount Kenya politics, having produced so many people who participated in the Mau Mau liberation, there's also an aspect of the Mount Kenya Foundation. That particular very influential group of Mount Kenya business moguls, and also most of them really come from Murang'a County. The wealthiest of the Kikuyu, if you are to put it that way, really reign from the Murang'a County as we speak today. So it is also easier for them really to bargain for one of their own coming from Murang'a County really to take over, and also considering other, of course, factors that Professor has did mention, like Nyeri having produced a president and Kiambu having produced twice. So we are only left with the Kirinyaga and Murang'a County county, if you are to talk about the central Kenya vote.
Okay, so now let's look at this story quickly before you go to another story. Now, the Standard, still on the same story, the Standard has established that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who was Raila's running mate in 2013 and 2017, will be replaced by a Mount Kenya politician as the ODM leader seeks to win the region's support. Mount Kenya region is currently perceived to be tilted in favor of Deputy President William Ruto. Kalonzo's team has since softened its earlier stance of not playing second fiddle to ODM leader again. The team has, however, raised concerns about the Wiper leader's position in the arrangement. Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. disclosed that previous talks stalled because of the arrangement that leaves Kalonzo without a major role. Now, Mutula Jr. admitted that the opposition leaders have to unite ahead of the August 9th, 2022 general election. So when you look at the matrix as it is right now, and there have been signs that perhaps some of the leaders in OKA might join either Raila's camp or Ruto's camp or whichever, but where should Raila go for Mount Kenya? And number two, where would the OKA leaders fit in this matrix? Sharon.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And I still insist, Raila doesn't have to necessarily actually pick up a running mate from, from Central. He should actually, pick up probably one of the principals in Oka who are actually yet to pick a presidential candidate, because you realize in one way or another these people have come quite a long way. And for Oka, it's just an issue of they need to lower their ego and just stop the chest thumping, because you realize that if anyone decides to run alone, they're actually going to be zero chances of winning. But if they indeed, back a sensible candidate who is actually the former prime minister, it's going to increase their stakes on these their stakes, especially political stakes. It's actually going to go a long way. So the chest thumping will not necessarily, they will not actually necessarily take them anywhere, but they need to, lower their pride and ego and, agree in to work with the former prime minister. If anything, I think Raila is one of the most people that really embraces coalitions of other parties. So it's just a matter of them lowering their ego and agreeing to work together and bringing in together the synergy and the exponential values that they all have for us to move together because at the end of the day we need a united and progressive country. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So they drop their, Prof, just before you come in, they drop their ego and their maybe their ambition as well. But we know, should they have dropped all of this, if the BBA had passed, the proposed expanded executive could have accommodated all these leaders. So that was the plan, but that has failed. So we can't even discuss that, Professor. So where do they stand? Where would they fit in this new dynamic?
Miriam, my sister Sharon, she's not privy to the reality. Politics is about democracy, is about numbers, Sharon.
But they do not have the numbers.
What you are saying is the ideal as opposed to the reality. The reality means like 2002. You know why we managed to do away with KANU. KANU gave us Uhuru. Then gave us Kibaki. So there was this cost-benefit analysis that they were saying, we go for Uhuru Kenyatta. He's a young man. He will go for 10 years and will be with no candidates. What we will do, we will go from there as we prepare for Uhuru Kenyatta. And you have gotten 20 years. So what I know for sure, William Ruto will have his candidate from Central Kenya. And then Mount Kenya, and you think that now you can be national. The politics you are talking about perhaps after 2037. As of now, what I'm trying to tell you is the reality. We must be able to go for those 6 million, even if we grab a half. That's 3 million. It's as good. Let me tell you, you heard me talk about 1960s. Masinde Muliro, he comes from Western. They were in Kadu. Daniel Moi was coming from Rift Valley. Ronald Ngara was coming from Coast. And Baron Gay represented the Akamba People's Party.
The eastern part.
How far did they go? The replica of what happened in 1960s is what's going to happen here.
So history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
Okay, Jevan Karanja. The leaders of OKA, how are they going to fit in this new matrix since that the expanded executive that was proposed in the BBI?
They'll fit in the ship out.
In which way? Because Kalonzo is worried on how he's going to come in this new power play.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. And that is why I'm saying Raila Amolo Odinga should, if these guys are willing to work with him, I didn't say that Raila Odinga is pushing them away or something, but if they are willing to come and join Raila Odinga for a second time or a third time, we have no problem with them. But the point is, we need these Mount Kenya votes. And that is why I'm saying, if we get Peter Munya or Peter Kenneth, provided we get at least 2 million from Mount Kenya region, then we are good to go. Because at the end of the day, if Oka happens to join William Ruto, Miriam, I can guarantee you William Ruto will be forced to pick one of them, either Musalia Mudavadi or Kalonzo Musyoka as a running mate. And when he does that, I can guarantee you Mount Kenya region will turn back and vote for Mzee overwhelmingly, and that government will be formed. Therefore, this issue of running mate, if Mzee Raila Amolo Odinga happens to make one mistake, Miriam, he will go home. If William Ruto happens, to join Oka, then he will go home. Therefore, we must maintain that Raila Amolo Odinga gets a formidable candidate from Mount Kenya region.
Okay.
I agree with you.
All right, very well. Samuel Tawish, our leaders, the OKA, kwa sasa itakuwaje?
In fact, Miriam, I'm really shocked that you are asking us where are the Oka leaders or principals going to fit? These people have declared they are going to the last lap, Miriam. They are saying their names will be on the ballot.
Even they don't believe that. Even they themselves don't believe that. Do you believe
it? But you see, we cannot decide to think on their behalf. They have said they are going up to the ballot. I think that is what they have said.
And they can't even settle for a candidate.
I mean, in the rallies, they have been. We still have more time. We still have about 8 months for people to declare. Even Raila Odinga we are talking about. The Raila Odinga we are talking about having a running mate from Kenya hasn't quite declared himself as aspiring to become our next president. Only that we are making, we are just trying to think or see how he's going, the probability or the possibility of him presenting himself to the ballot. But again, Miriam, I can tell you there's still time. You remember the NAC coalition when it was formed, I think it was about 3 months or so to the election. We still have about 8 or so months to next year's general election. That is enough time, still enough time for people really to realign themselves to where they feel maybe chances of winning are. I still want to reiterate that as much as we want to be objective, we should also remain realists in this debate, Miriam. Because the One Kenya Alliance, most of the principals have come out in the open and say they will not be coerced into supporting someone else, or Kenyans should not be coerced into supporting a particular candidate. And making reference to that effect, Miriam, they have gone to the extent of saying they should not be forced into supporting Raila Odinga once more. So we cannot force these individuals to come and work with Raila Amolo Odinga. The second point, Miriam, you go to say to Rift Valley or the Kalenjin Nation where Gideon Moi comes, a man who is one of the principals in the One Kenya Alliance. You cannot tell me that Gideon Moi has enough muscles ready to wrestle the votes of the Kalenjin from William Ruto. We should be realistic. I mean, in as much as there's so much that can be said of William Ruto, let us give it to him that he has a solid vote of the Kalenjin supporters really behind him. And if you want to confirm this, let's go to the ballot and you'll see that quite a good number of voters coming from that region will vote William Ruto to the last man, not actually of the entire Rift Valley. So I will still maintain that we must be objective, we must be realistic, even as we continue to make analysis of the possibilities of alliances and which party or individual should work with which one. As for Kalonzo Musyoka, I mean, it was just the other weekend. I don't know why we are forgetting this. These people were speaking in Thika, they spoke in Kakamega and said they will actually nominate one of the principals out of the 5 to be in the ballot as a presidential candidate. So how then can we force these individuals to come out and really support Raila Odinga or Kalonzo Musyoka or William Ruto?
And
so whatever the case may be, Miriam, whatever the case may be, I want to hope that whatever kind of arithmetic, if they want to go up to the ballot, by the end of the day, the votes will be counted just like it has been done in the past.
Yes.
Kalonzo knows this too well. Musalia Mudavadi knows this too well. They have tried their debut in a presidential contest in the past, and they know the kind of numbers that they got. If they think things will be different this time around, let them go up to the final lap and see the kind of votes that will be counted in their names.
All right.
I submit.
Okay, thank you. And remember, the other time...
Miriam, can I say something?
Okay. Go ahead, Jevan.
One point. You know why Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest of the team are so much, Kalonzo is 50-50. He is willing to work with Raila Amolo Odinga. And in Mount Kenya region, why people are opening their eyes and feeling like Raila Amolo Odinga is the best man. We have also seen Kunjuri, who was Ruto's point man in Laikipia and Nyeri County, changing tune and saying that Raila Amolo Odinga will win these things early in the morning. Because Raila Amolo Odinga was pushing for the BBI that was seeking to expand the executive. And some leaders in Mount Kenya region are demanding for a candidate who will guarantee that after forming the government, within 100 years in office, we will have a referendum and alter some of things in the constitution.
You mean 100 days?
I will not be surprised if One Kenya Alliance supports Raila Amolo Odinga in the promise that he will change the constitutions and guarantee them some positions in the expanded executive, because the BBI is not dead. BBI is just on pause, and if Raila forms the government, the BBI will be rejuvenated and the people will go back to that moment of a referendum and a constitutional change. Therefore, Raila Amolo Odinga has higher stakes and he can bargain with all other candidates, especially the Oka and Mount Kenya region, because of his past engagement and pushing for this referendum and the constitution moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And a couple of days ago...
Miriam, let me just... What Karanja is telling you, Miriam, you listen. And take it to the bank and withdraw money. The future of Mount Kenya is with Raila Amolo Odinga. Get it from me. And they know why I like the people of the mountain. They talk less. And I don't know how they have allowed Chavan to come and be very economical. Even what Sharon is telling you, the opposite is true. I know these people and understand them very well. The opposite is true.
But Sharon said Baba will win early in the morning, so you're saying the opposite is true.
The opposite is true. The opposite is true. That the running mate will come from... The point I'm advancing is this. William Ruto presidency means the people of the mountain have to wait for 20 years to get this thing back. Baba takes this thing, he will go one Mandela moment. He will go for 5 years, and I can tell you for that for sure. And by then, they should have rearranged themselves either through the prime minister position which will come. And I can tell you, Miriam, the people of the mountain, they know how to vote. They know what they want out of an election. The people of the lake, they know what they want from an election. If it is the president they want it. So what I'm trying to say, if I'm repeating about the replica of 1960s, Kalonzo will represent Porongay with the Campus People's Party, now being named Wiper. Period. Tell me which other president you can talk about Kalonzo.
All right.
And this the one of the 2 million votes is talking about, Miriam. Let me just give you that he, out of 800, he has made a lot of effort. He can get 1.2. So we can still go to Eastern, and we can be able to get 600 votes through Kivuta Kibwana, Mutua, and Charity Ngilu. I can guarantee you.
All right. And speaking of which,
then we go to Western, Musalia Mudavadi. And let me tell you for this, Miriam. These people, they are looking for an opportunity. They are banking that there will be a rerun. That's what they are banking in. And the Kalonzo believes that if there is a rerun, ataangalia apite katikati. Hakuna kupita katikati wakati huu. It is either to decide to go for it, or you decide to remain in the code the way he has remained for 10 years.
Because according to how the constitution is right now, hata ukipita katikati, the
It's
vice
not that. They are
president is
waiting.
already decided upon.
In the
Yes.
second, the leader and Miriam,
Yes.
you know your fate has been sealed. Now you can be able to negotiate with the two candidates. So they will either negotiate with William Ruto or negotiate with Papa. Definitely Papa will become number one.
All right.
But what I'm going to tell you from what I know, and I wish will tell you, Miriam, we are going to put them hands on first round. We are not going. We are not going for Iran. I can assure you for that. Because we know what this country wants. We know where we are going. Karanja has told you that they want someone who will call for a referendum so that we can get one man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. And who talks that language? The deputy president doesn't talk that language. They have realized, Miriam, they have even come, those who are posting that thing from Mount Kenya, Miriam, they have come out and they have confessed.
And by the way, Professor, if we want to get surprises, Miriam, wait until is it December 9th when Raila Odinga will be making announcement about his decision to contest or not at the Bomas of Kenya. You'll be shocked, Miriam, to see that we will have maybe a 2002 scenario where some of the people within the One Kenya Alliance would be coming to endorse Raila Odinga at the Bomas of Kenya. The likes of Gideon Moi. I mean, you'll be shocked. These people will be invited there. They'll be given opportunity to speak, and don't be shocked to see the likes of Gideon Moi, Moses Wetangula, and maybe some of these guys within the One Kenya Alliance really coming out and saying Raila Tosha. And that in itself will really scuttle and put in disarray of course, the One Kenya Alliance formation.
Okay. All right. And also there's somebody else who I think has also brought his name and has expressed his desire to lead this country. That will be the Makueni, Governor Kivutha Kibwana. And on the paper this morning, you can see a photo of him having strapped a baby on his back. I don't know if that is just a political gimmick, but he's known to be a man of the people. Kule mashinani, kwa ground. And so...
Miriam, if we were to do interview and not vote, the man to give the president of Kenya is Kivutha Kibwana. Go and see how he has changed Makueni. But democracy is another thing.
Sharon, do you have anything else you'd like to add to that before we move on? Huh?
Thank you. On the issue of Kivutha Kibwana, I think that editorial photo there, for me, I tend to see it as a political gimmick because we are headed to, we are actually in the political season or shopping. So any leader actually who is told to even wash dishes, they will actually wash dishes so that they can actually try to appease us as the voters. But anyway,
yes,
all that...
I saw the former governor for Nairobi helping a villager in Homa Bay to cultivate the land or something.
Yesterday, there's a video that was going round of a hotel that has been called Bottom Up Hotel. I don't know if you actually... you are able to see that. So expect this and much more, especially when it comes to appeasing of us, us as voters. But anyway, for me, I think Kivutha Kibwana is one of the most postcard leaders, especially when you go to Makueni. He's really transformed, he's really transformed Makueni. But now when we come to, the reality of politics, as Makueni aside, we have, more than, 47 counties. How is he really going to, how is the reception in all these other counties? Because you realize popularity, financial muscle will actually go a long way. So for me, where I stand, I think this race is a two-horse race. And from the look of things, I think one party is actually trying to concede defeat as things go by. So let's wait and see how this turns out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. There's a story here that I wanted us to talk about, but it's quite elaborate because I think it's very important in the a national conversation where CRA is now pushing for capable counties to fund their own budgets. I think it cannot fit within the time frame of 10 minutes, so maybe we will have it at 11. I know we had something else we wanted to talk about. If not, then maybe we can look at it tomorrow, but I think it is a story that requires its own time, and then we see. How is it possible for counties to take care of themselves and the monies that they get through the taxes and all that? What do they do with that? Because we know this conversation as they were discussing the revenue sharing. You see how this panned out there in the Senate and in Parliament. So this is a conversation that deserves a whole, I think, show of its own. So DP Ruto to storm Uhuru's backyard after thief remark. Deputy President William Ruto is on Wednesday set to storm President Kenyatta's Kiambu backyard as he intensifies his presidential campaign. So all right, very well. So state spends 2.7 billion per day in debt repayment. That is according to a report. And the amount is almost 4 times that sent to the counties and more than 3 times the cash spent on development. Prof.
Yeah, Miriam, I want to agree with the controller of the budgets that the counties should not be allowed to borrow. And the reason is being Miriam and the national government should not guarantee them because the national government has to guarantee them if they have to go for any loan. Miriam, tell me of all the 47 governors who has not taken the money which belongs to their county and who is not rich. We saw them the other day, they cannot even afford to buy a good suit. But you can see how they are, how they have managed to have homes in Karen, the likes of the governor for Samburu and the likes of the governor from Migori and many more whom we cannot. Even Miriam, when you go to the village, Miriam, you can see what the members of the county assembly, Miriam, they have managed to do. So the controller of budgets was passing a message that Miriam, that the money which goes to the counties, if we can fight corruption, is enough that we cannot go for a loan. Let me just submit up that point.
All right, very well. And as I said, that is a conversation we'll get time for and have just a show to discuss that. And by the way, just for your information, Wiper Party is changing its party name and colors. Pursuant of Section 20, Subsection 2 of the Political Parties Act, Wiper Democratic Movement Kenya intends to change its name from Wiper Democratic Movement Kenya to Wiper Democratic Movement, and its party colors from bold sky blue, white, and earth red to royal blue, white, and earth red. So Tawish, just in case ulikuwa nafikiria kuvai. Now you know. Okay, so the main headline on the Daily Nation: Ruto and the price of quitting Jubilee. We've joined hands with your leaders and some who were in other parties. We will be under UDA, but we know he has refused to quit Jubilee. And so should the Deputy President William Ruto make good his threat to formally abandon the party on whose ticket he was elected, the move might earn him some political mileage if the idea is to shake off the burden of incumbency, but it would come at a very high cost. Jevan Karanja, I will not get too much into the details of that story, but...
Yeah, Miriam, I think it's high time that politicians live to their word. If Deputy President feels that the UDA is a formidable force, is a party that will change this nation, why should he continue carrying the burden of a government that he has failed to deliver? Therefore, I think it's high time the Deputy President walks the talks and maybe changes the Jubilee court and goes to UDA and concentrates his energy on that. But Miriam, because he is a man who is not a man of integrity, he wants to continue redeeming some political points from the Jubilee track record, from the Jubilee legacy. That is why he is still maintaining to remain in Jubilee, so that when he goes to some political rallies, he ride on Jubilee scorecard and a developmental agenda to gain or to woo voters to support him. Okay. I think that is what the Deputy President, that is the trick that he has been using all through since 2018 after the handshake.
All right. And it's a whole story on page 4 of the Daily Nation. So I'll just read through quickly. Deputy President William Ruto has said he's ready to leave Jubilee Party, but lawyers are divided on the consequence of his quitting or ejection from the ruling party to his position as DP. Kenya's second in command said yesterday the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, is his new political home, a declaration decision that came a day after Jubilee said it would hold its National Delegates Convention at the end of the month to push rebels. The NDC is expected to be a politically charged event that could mark the official political breakup of party leader President Kenyatta and his deputy. Now, the DP, who is Jubilee's deputy leader, is expected to be shown the door following his association with UDA, on whose ticket he plans to contest the presidency in next year's election. He said he had joined hands with other elected leaders to form a formidable party that expressed optimism will form the next government. I want us to unite and form the next government. We have joined hands with other leaders, some who were in other parties. We will run under UDA, the DP said yesterday. But it emerged that the DP's ouster from Jubilee would occasion a protracted legal battle as to its consequence, particularly to his position as the deputy president. So if he'll be removed, because we were talking about that yesterday here, from Jubilee Party, then that means he cannot be the deputy president as it is according to our constitution and the party law. So yesterday, DP Ruto threatened to quit Jubilee Party. Is this a move that is likely to follow through with, Jevan?
Yes.
I'm saying yesterday, DP threatened to quit Jubilee. Is this a threat that he's likely to follow through with?
Miriam, it's so unfortunate that the deputy president has been making these threats that he will quit Jubilee, he'll do this, but the following day, he is a master of double speak. He will come and say, I'm still the deputy party leader of Jubilee Party. I'm also the deputy party leader of UDA. Therefore, the deputy president is torn in between supporting Jubilee because he wants to gain out of the Jubilee scorecard, and he also hopes that UDA, he wants to concentrate on the UDA party because that is the party he hopes to run for the presidency ticket. Therefore, I think he is confused. But at the end of the day, the deputy president is a master of double speak. These are just threats, and he has been threatening all through since 2018. Therefore, I will not be surprised if he will quit Jubilee in next year, 2022, May. I think that is when he will quit Jubilee officially, and that is when IBC would have started the campaign period. I think that is the time that the deputy president will leave Jubilee and concentrate with UDA party. But for now, he will continue being in Jubilee because he wants to act as an irritant. He wants to continue starting things from inside to ensure that he kills this party completely.
Okay. Sharon Gitonga, is the DP likely to make good of that threat?
Miriam, I'm also, trying to follow this matter quite keenly to see how, the delegates conference pans out and, turns out, because supposing that he's actually, kicked out of Jubilee, I don't know what exactly the constitution talks about, but I am also looking at him not gaining any mileage, but it actually this decision is going to cost him, quite highly, because when I look at, countries like South Africa, where when they actually remove you from a party, they also, seize you from the position. So in this case, could he actually be seized, from the position of him being a deputy president? Because, now if this decision actually goes this way, you realize he's actually going to lose his position consequently, and also probably lose state machinery and even the current resident that he keeps on using every now and then. So I'm also trying to see how the turns out. I don't know what exactly how the constitution is really anchored, especially when you talk about when someone actually is actually removed from the party. I'm trying to reiterate these according to how South Africa ANC's work. I don't know if this is actually going to work here in Kenya, whereby they actually elect parties, not individuals. So if anything, he's actually going to lose position.
Yeah, there is proportional representation. That is not what we have here. Tasdani wanaweza kubali hiyo hapa. Huko ndo wangeenda when we were trying to make our new constitution. Perhaps they would have benchmarked to their Jimbo na Yash Paul guy ya kufikiria hivyo. But let me just read through three law legal minds and what was their opinion on this, and then I'll get your opinions, and then we'll just conclude the show. Now, Dr. Wamuti Ndegwa, who teaches law at the University of Nairobi, argues that the DP's position will remain safe and whether he defects to UDA or is expelled from the party. So he's saying it does not matter whether the DP is still in Jubilee or not, his position still remains the same. And but Makueni, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. counters that the DP is the country's second in command by virtue of the Jubilee ticket. According to him, any attempt to leave the party now, either through defection or expulsion, will mean that he surrenders the DP's position. The seat he is holding belongs to the Jubilee Party, and he will surrender it the moment he quits the party. That is the law, says Senator, who is also a lawyer, but also somebody else. Just hold on. Winnie Mitula, a professor of political science, agrees that if the law were to be applied strictly, the DP's position will be untenable. If we were to follow the rule of law, then a lot of things would follow suit, because he ceases to be what he is, that is the DP. If he was honorable enough, he would first resign from the DP's post, then do the rest so that nobody follows him with lawsuits or apprehends him in parliament. But she says the way Kenya runs is so convoluted to the extent that Ruto will just join his new party and continue serving as a DP, although atakuwa tu kule UDA. So these are just three different perspectives of this story. Sharon, we have to end the show now. You wanted to add something else?
Oh yeah. I think it's quite unfortunate with our our laws in Kenya, and you realize that the weak party systems is actually what is affecting our governance at large. For me, I think the fact if he's actually removed, he does not retain the same position, given that he actually holds the position by the virtue of Jubilee. But let's wait and see how the delegates conference turns out.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Samuel Tawish.
Very well, Miriam. Indeed, I may not argue from an authoritative point of view by virtue of the fact that I'm not a lawyer. But of course, Miriam, virtue of common sense, will dictate that in case Jubilee really goes ahead and strips off Deputy President William Ruto's role or responsibility as the Deputy Party Leader of Jubilee, then I think out of morality, he should just decide to quit. But what I'm sure is William Ruto is trying to play stupid, yet is very clever. He wants the party to kick him out so that he can play victim. I'm sure that is what he's been waiting all along, so that he can go back to the masses, to the people, and say he was sticking around, he was supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta, not until he was kicked out by his Jubilee party. So it is something that is very delicate. It has to be handled in that respect, so that we, by the end of the day, William Ruto does not gain political capital out of this kind of move that Jubilee intends really to take against him. Some of us really were of the mind or thinking that this is not an action that should have been taken long ago, that Deputy President William Ruto should have been kicked out of the Jubilee party a long time ago, of course, alongside those other lawmakers who are allied to him. As to why they have continued to remain in Jubilee party while propagating the ideals of another political party, I still do not understand the thinking behind their continued stay in Jubilee party. Maybe President Uhuru Kenyatta and his operatives or handlers know it too well why they have allowed them to continue. Very lastly, Miriam, it's also unfortunate that Deputy President William Ruto has really converted the official residence of Deputy President in Karen to be a political center where he's converging and meeting with his UDA affiliate members. That is very unfortunate. And I do not know if it's the constitution that allows this, or is it because he's doing it by default, being the deputy president, then he can do anything he so wishes in any of the deputy president official residence. I still wait to see really if the operatives, the state operatives, are not also going to act on this, because he cannot continue to use to enjoy the privileges that come with that position when he does not even subscribe to the ideals of Jubilee Party, let alone even supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is his boss. I submit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Karanja? Okay, Prof, end it for us.
Yeah, Miriam. When you are in darkness, Miriam, do you have your shadow? Can your shadow be seen?
No.
Has anybody ever done that experiment? Maybe if you have never done it, you do it. What I know, Miriam, the Deputy President, David Jubilee, long time ago, Miriam, he does not work for the government of Kenya. The only hope he has is to Roita the country, Tangatanga the country. And when the president said Tangatanga in the country, he had watched him because he had all the intelligence to say that this man is not working. So he had to relieve him work and then he give him the humble time. He is not, in fact, Miriam, even Jubilee going to kick him out, Miriam, they are going to have for it, make him have sympathy votes. He has not assisted the president, is not harmed. We leave him with his concerns, Miriam. Whether what is trying to do, Miriam, fine. That's fine, Miriam. I have got no little respect for this office, even I've seen in the social media. I don't know how true is this, Miriam, that some eggs from Sugoi were being sold to Moi University at 3,000 per tray. This is the kind of man. And then you can see where Moi University is today is bankrupt, Miriam. So from where I sit, Miriam, we leave him to his concerns. He's not harmful to us. He's stealing the money from the people of Kenya. And I wonder where are the rights of the Omutatas and others to these peace bodies, the Katiba Institute, to file the suits in court, Miriam, so that they remove him. So from where I sit, Miriam, I cannot see a shadow in the darkness, Miriam. It's not harmful to us. It's not working.
Okay, all right, Professor. 3,000 per crate of eggs must be the golden eggs. Okay,
yeah,
now.
because they are guarded by JSU, Miriam. You remember the eggs?
Prof, I'll just leave that there. Thank you so much. Now, just a section of what the Constitution says. Section 14(1) of the Political Parties Act stipulates that a member of a political party who intends to resign from the political party shall give a written notice prior to his resignation. It adds that the resignation of the member of the political party shall take effect upon receipt of such notice by the political party. So hata akisema huko barazas na Coralis resign until he does it formally on paper and presents it. So that will not be deemed so. And the law prohibits a person from being a member of more than one political party at the same time. But to address situations where a rebel may refuse to voluntarily resign, there are instances in which the law deems a person to have resigned from their political party, and they include forming, joining, or publicly advocating for the formation of another political party. So what we've been seeing the DP and his other allies do. So according to the law, he's been deemed to have left Jubilee Party. So that is what the law says. Thank you so much, Professor Jared Onyari, Jevan Karanja, Samuel Tawish, and of course, Sharon Gitonga. We shall be back here at the top of the hour with another conversation that is of national interest. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Ogutu. A very good morning to you.